My specialty is not hair systems or hair pieces, but I want to talk about if you have a hair system or hair piece, first of all, when would you think about getting one? When would you think about not getting one? And how could hair transplant be effective to help it with someone getting the most natural appearing hair system? So first of all, today, hair systems and hair pieces are so different from what they were 20 years ago, which they really look very, very, very fake many, many years ago. And still the less expensive ones do not look natural. However, today, oftentimes, I'd probably be the only one in the room that could spot it was a hair system, whereas other people probably couldn't if it was well done. And that would really be because they're human hair, they're woven, placed through a mesh, so they come out of the hair normally, woven out instead of laying flat, like you're thinking about the Sopranos guy that had just too low a hairline. They're also making systems that are much more conservative, much higher positioned. The hairline is more natural in appearance. So there are a lot of great things that a hair system provides, which is really a full head of hair potentially. The problem with the hair system obviously is somewhat of the mental stigma of having one, and there's a lot of cost in terms of upkeep and maintenance compared to a hair transplant. But why have a hair system then? The biggest answer that I would say is someone that is totally bald, that has no donor capacity that I can transplant. A hair system is a way to give a full head of hair. And sometimes in patients that are really, really bald, like a Norwood 7 with poor donor capacity, once they're used to a hair system, they'll never be happy with a hair transplant because they simply don't have, they're just so used to that much hair. At the same time, I have done many hair transplants in people that want to transition out of a hair system because they're tired of the maintenance, the cost that's involved, and they don't mind going through a transition period to go to a hair transplant. For those that really want to keep their hair system, but they're wondering, is there something that's not quite natural with it? The biggest issue that I see that I can spot out a hair system that looks slightly off, for example, probably the most subtle hair system I've seen out there is Tony Horton's from P90X. I actually stood next to him. I could definitely see it was one. But I would tell you could probably do all the P90Xs in the world and never notice that he had one. But the reason is I can tell it's not natural is that his temporal area is combed over on top. And so so an extensive hair system is called a cap, which covers all the way down into the temporal area. I was watching Creed, the movie Creed. I was watching Sylvester Stallone, and the first thing I saw, he had a hair system. Partly the hairline wasn't that good, but also his temporal points don't match. So what can you do? Well, simply put, build your temporal points. So I have a gentleman coming up in the next couple of weeks. He's a very advanced Norwood pattern, Norwood 7. He's very much used to wearing a hair system, and I'm going to do his temporal point reconstruction because that's the one area that a hair system or hair piece cannot effectively look natural. So I'm going to build that up in a way that will match his hair piece and allow his result to look significantly more natural than it does now. So hopefully this podcast, just explaining some of the concepts of hair system, hair pieces, when to do hair transplants, when not to do hair transplants, how to combine hair transplants with the hair system is helpful for those people or just those people that are interested in knowing about the subject.